Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel for Akati Grant Writing Services. My name is LaTwan and I'm the owner of Akati Grant Writing Services, and on this channel I provide free and quick tips to help small and newer nonprofits learn more about the grant writing process and how to add grants to their fundraising strategy. So far I've talked a lot about what the grant writing process is and different strategic processes that you can follow to be more successful in the grant writing process. But I know you guys can't really add grants to your fundraising strategy and to your income if you don't know where to go to find the best grant opportunities. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys 6 resources that you can use to find the right opportunities for your organization. The first resource that you can use is called the Foundation Directory Online, aka the FDO. So FDO is offered by Candid, and Candid is one of the most well-known and trusted resources that nonprofits use to find information and training and articles, blogs, industry news about the nonprofit sector. So with that, they do provide an online directory where you can search for foundations and different grant opportunities for your nonprofit. So this online database allows you to search based off of your specific criteria. So you can indicate the geographic location where your organization is located or where the money will be used. So if you service in a location or a group of people that are not directly in your city, for example, if you are an international nonprofit and most of your beneficiaries are in a different place, you can indicate where the money will be used or where your program operates. You can also search based off of focus area. So if you focus on education or people who are experiencing homelessness or economic development, job training, things like that, you can search by focus area. You can also search by the amount of money that you're looking for, and just a variety of different criteria that you can use, and it will give you back so many resources. I've used it. That's one of my primary ways of finding opportunities for my clients. And it's just a lot of information that comes back. It'll tell you who the foundations are that match with your search criteria, but it will also give you a list of organizations that have been funded by those foundations. So you can see, if they have given money to organizations that are similar to yours, and you can view their profile, you can look them up, you can use the links to go to their contact information or their website. And, if you get back a large results, so for example, if it comes back and there is 1,000 or 500 different matches based off what you searched for, you can download that information into an Excel spreadsheet and save it for later, so you don't have to always go back and do your search from scratch. So this option, the FDO, a lot of libraries in the States will give you access to FDO for free. So if you go to their website or if you go to the library, they'll have login information that you can use for free. So if you maybe are on a tight budget and you aren't sure you want to go ahead and purchase a subscription or sign up as a member, you can use your local library's login information. Otherwise, you'd have to pay for a membership, and the FDO can be kind of pricey, but they do have a monthly option where you can pay $50 a month and just go month by month. That way you don't have to sign up for the whole entire year, and you can just test it out and see if you like it. And then if you do, you can decide to purchase a whole year subscription. So that's the first option or the first resource that is available to you. The second resource that you can use is GrantStation. So the main reason why I included GrantStation and why I like GrantStation and a lot of other grant professionals and grant writers like GrantStation is because it's a cheaper option than the FDO. So GrantStation operates very similar to FDO in terms of how you search and the different ways that you can locate the opportunities in terms of like searching by location or amount or focus area. But the main difference is that you can sign up for a free newsletter, and every month it'll send you out the newsletter with a list of opportunities that match your criteria or that match, your interest or your organization. And that can be a great way for you to get access to their database. Even if you don't necessarily want to sign up as a member, you can still just get that newsletter and then do your own research based off of what information they put in the email that you receive. So with GrantStation, they do have a yearly option that's about $169 when you first sign up, which is much cheaper than the yearly option that you will find at FDO. Now, the only catch with that is that, after the first year, when you have to go renew, the price might increase. So you would then have to decide if you're willing to pay the higher price to continue, or if you want to figure out a different option or just choose their monthly option instead. But I really like GrantStation because it's a little cheaper and it's more specialized and focused on grant seeking in terms of their blog. They do have a blog, they have resources, they have an option for you to view sample grant proposals and just get more information and more training that way, in a way that's a little less overwhelming than the FDO, because FDO is sponsored by Candid, which is about the nonprofit sector overall. So they have a lot of information that's not just about grants. So it could become overwhelming for you. So if you want something that's a little more zoomed in and focused just on grant resources and blogs about the grant process, the grant writing process, then the GrantStation could be a better alternative for you. The third resource that you can use is Grants.gov. So as the title alludes to, Grants.gov is focused mostly on government grants. So if you are new or a small nonprofit, you want to make sure that you fully understand the expectations and the process of applying for government grants. It's a lot more involved, and there are a lot more strings attached and red tape and things like that you would need to understand before you start applying for government grants. But using Grants.gov is a great resource for you because it'll introduce you to that process, and you can go ahead and familiarize yourself with the types of grants that are available and decide which specific federal agency is the best match for your nonprofit. There are so many different subgroups and agencies underneath the federal government that you would want to make sure you understand which agency is more likely to fund an organization that has a mission like yours. So if you go onto Grants.gov, you can just kind of search around, do that research, and also sign up for their free newsletter, because they will also send you information about what opportunities are open, what types of organizations they're looking for, the amount of money that's available, and their deadlines. The Grants.gov is also a great way for you just to learn about the grant writing process in general. They have a lot of resources that will help you understand what should be included in a grant proposal, especially a government grant proposal. And a lot of that information can be used and help you prepare for writing foundation grants as well. So that's something that I always like to recommend. It's completely free. They don't charge you a subscription or a membership fee, so you can always just go on their website and search around and just get familiar with that grant writing process. So check that out for sure. There is a link to that website in the description box, so that's something that's available for you also. The fourth option that you can use to find grants for your nonprofit is GrantWatch. So the reason why I included GrantWatch on this list is because it's another great low price option, especially for nonprofits that are small or newer or who have limited budgets that don't want to spend a lot of money on an online database. So GrantWatch has a weekly option where you can pay $18 per week or $45 for the month, which is much cheaper and a little more flexible than some of the other options that I mentioned. They do also have a newsletter that you can sign up for, so that's a great thing. It's very similar to the other options. The only thing about their newsletter that could potentially be challenging is that the newsletter doesn't really tell you exactly who the funder is, it'll just tell you information about the opportunity, the deadline, and details about what kind of nonprofits would qualify for the grant, but it may not tell you exactly the name of the foundation or the name of the grant maker or the funder, which can be a little limited. So with this option, if you wanted to have all of that information in the newsletter, you would be required to go ahead and pay for a membership or a subscription. But the benefit is that it's a lot cheaper than some of the other options are. So you would just kind of have to decide, what you want to do. If you just want to get their free newsletter and then have to just do extra research to figure out who the funder is, or if you want to just go ahead and pay their monthly subscription or the weekly subscription to get more information in the newsletter. So Grant Watch also has their own blog, which is called Grant News, which they'll share more industry information about the grant seeking process. They do have samples and different, resources to help you figure out what goes into a grant proposal and things like that. So it's very similar to the other options that I mentioned before. It's just a different price point. The fifth option that you can use to find grant opportunities for your nonprofit is your board members. So your board members should be very actively involved in the fundraising process for your nonprofit, and that includes finding grant opportunities and being able to build relationships with foundations, with potential grant makers, and always being on the lookout for grant opportunities. So this is why it's so important to be strategic about who you include on your board of directors, because your board will be the people out in the community, vouching for your organization, finding that information, making those connections with other, executive members of corporations, executive members of different foundations, and helping, find those opportunities to share about the work your nonprofit is doing. So if you have board members who are part of the corporate world, for example, if they're, executive members of different corporations, if they're vice presidents or somehow really connected with corporations that have foundations, or even major philanthropists who have their own private foundations and different entities that are really focused on giving back to the communities and investing in nonprofits, they will be a lot of times your first way of hearing about grant opportunities, and they will be able to make those connections with the decision makers of those foundations, who can help put your nonprofit on the radar and be able to share and make sure your nonprofit is being considered for some of those major grant opportunities. So this is really key because using your nonprofit's board of directors is free. Okay, you don't have to worry about paying for subscriptions. You don't have to worry about having memberships and all of that stuff, because your board of directors, that's what they signed up for. They signed up to help you fundraise and to help, make those connections and get your nonprofit where it needs to be financially. So you won't have to pay them or, have that type of financial responsibility to have them find grant opportunities, because it's something that's built into the very nature of their role in your organization. So don't overlook that and don't underestimate the power of your board of directors in helping you find grant opportunities. So the sixth and last source that I'm going to talk about is Google. So a lot of times I feel like people overestimate the power of Google searches. So Google can be very, very powerful when looking for grant opportunities, and it's free. You don't have to pay a subscription. You don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to do is just make sure you are putting in that extra effort to do your research, okay? And being very strategic about the types of keywords and the types of, wording that you use in the search engine when you are using Google. So Google relies heavily on SEO, which is search engine optimization, and it relies on the keywords that you use. So you want to make sure that, when you're using Google, you're not just saying something generic like grant opportunities for nonprofits or grants in my area, because that's very generic and broad. But you want to get very specific in saying something like, for example, if your nonprofit focuses on K through 12 education and you're located in North Carolina, you would want to give a specific search keyword or a search sentence saying something like grant opportunities for K through 12 nonprofits in North Carolina, and being very specific about how you search in Google, and then making sure that you go beyond just that first page of results. Sometimes, we'll just quickly search through the first page of results and we won't click through the 2 or 3 pages that follow. Sometimes when you do a Google search, you'll get 10 or 12 or even more pages of information that will pop up, but we miss out on all that information that's there because we don't go beyond the first page. So making sure that you are, one, being strategic about what types of words you use, the keywords that you use in your search, and then secondly, going beyond just the first page. And you have to be willing to put in that extra effort to dig a little deeper and find the information that you need, especially if you are operating with a low budget and you don't want to put out, a lot of money to get a database. You really can just maximize on the information that's out there on Google and do it in a way that's free. So there you have it. There are 6 resources that you can use to find grant opportunities for your nonprofit. If you haven't used any of those before, make sure you check them out. I'll leave the links to them in the description box so that you can easily access them. And I've also included 2 other links that I didn't mention in this video that you can use, that a lot of people in the nonprofit space have talked about and that have actually come up on my radar just from being a part of the Grant Professionals Association. So if you also want to learn more about in-depth training that you can enroll in to learn more about the grant writing process, I've also left a link in the description box that will take you to our website so you can learn more about the training that we provide, or you can just reach out to us and send us a message. So of course, be sure to subscribe to this channel so that you can be the first to know when we upload new videos, and connect with us on social media as well. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.